And Mark Hadjiv from the home team, University of Ottawa. Take it away, Alex.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. That's Mark. Mark is the brains behind this. Just a pretty face. It's not very pretty. I apologize in advance. My slides are very boring. I injected a couple of pictures in there to liven it up, but the material itself is generally pretty boring, so I want to apologize in advance. But ITIL tends to be very good, but very boring as far as material is concerned. If you have any questions, put your hand up. If during the session, because I don't have a lot of slides, so we should have enough time to answer some questions during the presentation. All right. So to give you a bit of history, Mark and I work in service management, which is one of the 4 pillars under our central IT. So central IT is CCS. Service management is helpline, help desk, desk side services, consulting, and access management. So incident management especially is one of the things we've been doing for a long time. And in our search for a new tool and for new processes, this is what's led us to presentation today. So this is our agenda. We'll talk a little bit about the history, some of the challenges, the project itself to migrate to a new tool, and then the future, what we're looking forward to. So firstly, as far as history is concerned, some of you may have used incident management with mainframe. We use something called TSO, or Infoman, information management. Very simple. Our volume was very low. We didn't have any desktops at the time. It was all 3270 terminals, so it was a very easy life. We'd go swap a terminal out, and we were good. Our next tool came in mid-90s? 98. And it was called Support Magic at the time. Client server gave us a nice Windows interface, SQL database, advanced incident management, and much better reporting. And by that time, obviously, we were into the PCs and a lot more complex problems. And so having a tool like this was really important. Following Support Magic, we went to Service Desk Express, which again was the next evolution for us. It gave us a web-based interface, although it was IE only, which wasn't very nice, but it worked well. It had some ITIL features. It was based on a SQL database. We had some of the beginnings of ITIL processes. We did have some change management that we had implemented towards the end. We did have a cab again towards the end of us using Service Desk Express. So some of the small, easier features of ITIL were implemented at the time. And our Cmdb was in a SharePoint. So we had a big SharePoint, and we basically had as much as we could in that database, but it wasn't very good and it wasn't kept up to date. So some of the statistics from our service, we have about 7,500 to 8,500 incidents on a monthly basis. Depends if we have outages or if it's peak period and so on. 70% are closed on first contact. We do have a lot of incidents that come in that can't be closed on first contact. They could be telephone installations or network drops and so on. So we'd like that number to be more like in the 80 percentile, but unfortunately, we still have a lot of incidents that are that require an on-site visit. The breakdown is there for telephone, web, in-person, and open by staff. So it includes students walking up to a help desk that we have as well. Our average changes per month, this is on the server side, is about 100. So we now have, we still have a CAB. We have a CAB meeting every week, and the changes are logged in our incident management system. And as far as servers, just ballpark virtual 1,100 and physical about 150. So the challenge we were at a time where we had to either upgrade Service Desk Express or go with something else. And Service Desk Express had some limitations. It was Internet Explorer only, which we didn't like. It had a weak Cmdb and change request system. And it was running on an older and brittle environment. So our director at the time was also not very well versed with Service Desk Express, so he had no ties to it and wasn't really keen on upgrading it. And at the same time, we also had a data center migration. So we were moving from this building on the 5th floor, which is where our data center was. We moved to the basement of the new building, which you've probably been in for some of your sessions, FSS, or the Social Sciences building. We have a new data center in that building. So that move precipitated the need for some good information about what we had and it was amazing how little information we had on all of our servers and all of our ADs and so on. So it was time to do something. So the project itself, why did we go with ServiceNow? At first, many of us couldn't tell you why. My former boss isn't here anymore, so I can say that, but it was a good decision. We just didn't know why he made it. He had consulted with several sectors, so he did do a little bit of a focus group. So he met with our team, and he met with some external clients as well. And everybody agreed we needed something more modern, we needed something more scalable, we needed something that was strong on mobility as well. The Service Desk Express was not very mobile friendly. So we also wanted something that was easy to maintain and quicker to update. We needed a proper Cmdb, and ServiceNow was a really good solution for all of these things. So I can say we never really went through a process to evaluate different vendors or providers or anything like that. Our director was very strong with Gartner. He really looked to them for guidance when it came to products. ServiceNow was, top right from Gartner. I think even in his very quick test with ServiceNow, he was just really pleased with what it offered us. The other thing it did as well, and because it's a cloud-based solution, is we no longer had to go to infrastructure and ask them for anything, which can sometimes be a challenge. We had some challenges with Service Desk Express, getting updates and things like that. So this really eliminated our own infrastructure from being involved when it came to running our operations. ServiceNow gives us everything that we were looking for, very strong on mobility as well. The big question that came up was cloud. Everybody's concerned about your data and where it resides and so on. ServiceNow does have data centers in Canada. There's one in Toronto and in Montreal, I believe, and they duplicate each other. So our environment was put in Canada. So that kind of solved the where's our data issue, and that was good for us. So the project itself then became, so our director, after making the decision, left. He turned on incident management on us, and then he took another job. So we were left in shambles for a little while. The project was very difficult because we went incident management right away, and we did nothing to prepare, neither our staff nor our clients. So we had to kind of take a step back and decide how to run this project, and that's when they approached me about migrating Service Desk Express to ServiceNow. So we had 12 faculties, 10 services, about 300 users that were on Service Desk Express, and we also had to build the Cmdb as well. The project consisted of customizing ServiceNow. That's where Mark came into play. Mark was our Service Desk Express guru, so by default he became our ServiceNow guru without the training. So in a project like this, it's very important to have a Mark that is adaptable and that understands the ITIL processes and the tools themselves. So it was really nice that we had Mark that was able to do some research and get really comfortable. Yes.
Does Mark comes with the product?
I have a price link.
Yeah. No, there's no price. Please don't offer any jobs today because I'd be screwed. Like I said, Mark is the reins. Sorry?
There's one at New Brunswick.
No. You're good here. So we had to customize ServiceNow, and we had to bring in all the business rules that we had. So Service Desk Express, Mark had done a lot of work in customizing the business rules and the escalations and so on. So certain things would happen, and then in the system, it would generate emails, it would generate certain reports. So there was a lot of work that was done to Service Desk Express that we had never planned for in ServiceNow. So all of that now had to be taken care of. So we had about a couple months to get that ready, and Mark was under the gun there to do that, but he did.
We're still getting there.
Yeah, we're still customizing. We had to get the change management module ready and the email module. So obviously here at the University of Ottawa, bilingualism is a big deal. And when our former director turned on incident management, he forgot to tell us there would be no bilingual emails that were going out. So at that time, our clients were receiving English-only emails, which is a big no-no here. Not good at all. So there was some scrambling to be done, but one thing I got to say about ServiceNow for sure is that the product is very flexible. And Mark, and actually the Faculty of Medicine, Jean Ray is here, they were partners in that when it started coming in, they kind of fully embraced ServiceNow right away. And Jean Ray's team was able to modify their emails to make them look really nice. So we kind of jumped on their bandwagon, stole their email interface, and yeah, we shared. And that really helped us with that change. So, when it, like I said, I had to do something. Hopefully you've watched this movie. It's actually a pretty good movie. So at first, when they asked me to plan the project, I planned it out over 8 months. I had all my processes in place, and management wasn't really happy when I came back with a, pretty much almost a year-long project. If we were to do it properly, it would have taken a year, but we decided to go with a rip it off or just do it approach, which was, let's just accelerate this as fast as we can. We're going to make everybody aware we got a new system, and we're going to have to deal with whatever problems we face, but we're going to have to do it quickly. And in some ways, I'd say it was a blessing that we did it that way, because sometimes those long drawn-out projects, they just long and drawn out for no reason. So what we did to go quickly was, we met with the individual groups, and we did a very quick needs assessment. How are you using the old tool? And this is how the new tool works. And that meeting was very productive. It was a couple hours for every section. They had questions, they were answered. We made sure we had all their needs down pat. We explained how the new system would work, and they really appreciated that. And then within 2 weeks of that meeting, that group would be migrated. Some weren't too keen on it, but we said it's worked with others, so you got to do it. And in the end, it was great because everything happened so quickly. They were trained quickly. They got on the tool quickly, and then they just started using it. And then Mark would deal with whatever repercussions there were with the quick move. About a month later, we tried to follow up with the groups just to make sure everything was working well. And there was one issue that kept coming back, and I'll explain it later when it comes to licenses. But generally speaking, everybody was pretty happy with the tool. And like I said, the feedback was good, even though it was kind of painful. When it came to the Cmdb, we used a product called, we used Discovery from ServiceNow. I wasn't really involved at that point, but there was some mid servers that were installed here on campus, and we ran the Discovery tool from ServiceNow, and it discovered many, many things. Some things we knew about, some things we didn't know about. So it was kind of cool to find out what we had. Picked up all the physical and virtual environments, all the different server OSs that we have, and we have many, many server types. Several ADs were discovered. Most of them we knew, some of them were surprising, and we had quite a few outdated servers as well. So the discovery portion was pretty important for the data center migration, but it's also become very important now because with that data in service now, it's much easier for us to update it and keep it well maintained than it was before. And now it can be tied to incidents whenever outages happen and so on. So the discovery portion was very key to this as well. So some of the challenges is we were given a couple of months to turn this around, and we were doing it during peak period, so it was challenging from that perspective, but again, it kind of forced us to move quickly and everybody liked it in the end. The biggest change for us is the licensing model from ServiceNow. So Service Desk Express, we would pay for, I believe it was 40 or 45. So we had 35 concurrent connections. So we would just pay for those 35, and we could have as many accounts as we wanted. And if you ended up getting, if you were the 46th person, well, you get a little message. And actually, we had a little bit of leeway, I think 4 or 5 licenses. It would let you in, but then if all of those were taken up, it would give you a message saying you got to wait for someone to get out. With the volumes we had at that time, we were still pretty good. We probably needed another 5 or 10 licenses, but the cost wasn't that prohibitive. When we went to ServiceNow, their licensing model is completely different. They go by ITIL process user. And an ITIL process user is $100 per user per month. So it's $1,200 per year per process user. And what a process user is anybody that can open incidents, work within the tool, do reporting, change requests, modify Cmdb, use the project module, use any module. Those are all considered ITIL process users. So you can imagine with 250 to 300 users of the system, this would have been extremely, extremely expensive. So we did talk to ServiceNow about a different model, and they do have something called an approver license, which is a little bit less expensive. And we use those licenses for those who are using the system a little bit more, or a little bit much less frequently than maybe our help desk staff or helpline staff would use. So the cost was definitely, I think, one of the biggest drawbacks in a sense. We were comparing it to what we were doing with Service Desk Express, so that was the other problem. We hadn't really upgraded Service Desk, and we hadn't added the licenses, so the gap was a little bit bigger. If we had done a true comparison, it wasn't that much more, but it was still significant at the time. But management has seen the advantages of going with a tool like this, and now they rarely give me grief over adding a few licenses here and there. We had Crystal reports with Service Desk Express, which again, Mark was really well versed in. So our reporting from Service Desk Express was really strong. And we had a lot of good reports that were coming out. So with ServiceNow, we don't use Crystal reports. We're using their own reporting tool, which is strong. It's nice. It's very quick. It's all table-based, so everything happens very quickly. The performance of the system is fantastic as well. So it's not a disadvantage. It's just a little bit different when it comes to reporting. And I put this one for Mark, gaining expertise on the fly for a systems analyst. That was a big challenge because you are going from one system to another system that we've never seen before. And Mark did a great job with being prepared for it. So why do we like ServiceNow? Browser independent, so Safari, Chrome, Firefox, IE, it works in all browsers. That was a big plus for us. I have to say their support, would you agree, is excellent? Anytime I've had to, support is fast, it's very good. They put into practice what they preach, by the way, so their systems are all automated. You submit a request, you're updated constantly. Upgrades, I mentioned upgrades. If we want an upgrade or it's amazing. It's very, very quick. We have test, dev, and production environments, and they're completely separate. This is huge for us because it's tough to get a QA environment in our infrastructure. So with this, they give us a test, they give us a dev, and then we have a production. So, and we can clone our production at any time and throw it into one of those other environments. So we have live, good data that we're using in those other environments. So whatever we want to do, we always test it first, try it in dev, or do in dev, and then we move to production. If we were to ask infrastructure for this would be very difficult on our team to provide that for us. So that to me is one of the big, big advantages. And even when it comes to upgrades, like we don't have to worry about OS upgrades. When they have new versions, we plan it. They don't do it to us, and we can try it and test in dev first. So again, it's been a real positive change. The reporting is very quick now, so if you want to quickly see what your staff are doing, you want reports on how many incidents, how often, or how many are touched by a particular staff member, the reporting is very, very nice. Would you agree, John Ring?
Yeah, actually, we just instituted at the faculty, so I work at the Faculty of Medicine, we have about 10 vice deans, and each one of them has certain portfolios, so we have about 22 IT people and a whole development shop at the Faculty of Medicine, and each vice dean has access to a URL where they see all their projects that we're working on, and they get sent an updated version every month. So they know what we're working on for them, they know where it's at, what the timelines are, if there's any hitches, and they can access that anytime they want through a public URL that we expose. So it's really, really good from a reporting standpoint.
Thanks, Sean. Obviously, very easy interface. They have knowledge articles, something we never got into with Service Desk. They had it, but it's just so much easier to do things now. So I find our staff are much more prone to, they have a little workaround, or they, people keep asking about the home use program. So we have little knowledge articles now that are very easily searchable. And that's the other thing. The search feature within ServiceNow it's awesome. You go to the top right, you look for a name, you look for an IP address, you look for a server type, you look for an incident number, you look for a knowledge article. The search returns are unbelievably quick and very, very accurate. We are looking at the project module. We did start using it for a little while, and Discovery and Cmdb again. These are the things that we like about it. The other thing we like about it is I don't know how many of you have decentralized IT, but we have decentralized IT. The faculties have their own IT staff. And so how do you bring faculties on board with something like this? So the nice thing is we created process user roles for them so they can manage their data. They have the ability to create custom websites so that incidents can go directly to their staff without having to come through our help desk or helpline. You know, there's no system requirements. It's here's your account, there's your web access, and you're good to go.
I'm just gonna have one thing that we like: full rewrite API, SOAP-based REST, JSON, XML, CSV, whatever you want. You can interface directly with ServiceNow and tie into any of their tables, get the data, write data to it. Very straightforward. So our development team is even interfacing a few custom-built applications to tie directly into ServiceNow. And we're integrating it with GitHub issues because we use GitHub Enterprise in medicine. So we're going to integrate that.
As far as authentication is concerned, we use our AD, so that works very well. And for our imports of employee data and student data, are we getting those daily? What's our feed for?
It's live.
It's live, okay.
From the, as soon as there's a change in the AV, within 5 or 10 minutes, and it's live on ServiceNow.
Okay. So again, that's another big plus, is the ability to do that with ServiceNow. So in the future, I don't know if infrastructure would agree, but it does have VM provisioning as an option. We may go in a different direction, but we're also looking at it as they can provide us VMs if you need a quick VM. So that's something they're looking at and we'd be looking at. Runbook automation is something we definitely want to look at to automate some of our processes like AD migrations. I was at the conference from ServiceNow last year, and there was a lawyer firm that used Runbook automation to do their AD migrations for their staff, and it was basically a click and the process would run in the background, and the staff were very, very happy. They did several hundred over the course of a couple weeks. So there's some pretty powerful things you can do with Runbook automation, so we're going to look at that. The survey module is very strong. We're about to open up a new survey module using ServiceNow. Very flexible, very easy to use, and again, it's tied to the incident, which is big for us. Self-serve deployment, so right now our users could get in the system, create their own incidents, view their own incidents, which they didn't have before either, so again, that's another plus. Like I said, as a CCS as a service had looked at the projects module for a while. I'm not sure it's fully mature yet, but we were using it to track projects, and you can use project tasks and so on, so that's some pretty good functionality. So we just use it now just to track our projects. We're not really fully into the projects module, but I'm sure it'll develop over time. Everything that they've opened up as far as modules, within 2 or 3 versions, they just seem to be very strong with their modules. Asset inventory, and there's some other things we're looking at to release, maybe bug tracking as well.
There's also the effect of the chat module.
Oh yeah, chat.
Well, also to implement the chat, so students or employees can go to a chat room and then talk with the tech. So ServiceNow does offer that option, so we're looking at that too. Hopefully by September we'll have something for that.
You're committing September?
It's on record.
It's being recorded. Turn the camera there.
No, I don't have my mic, so they don't understand.
No, Mark, you just said a year.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so before we get to questions, I'm going to let Mark just give you a very quick demo of the tool, and then we can field some questions.
So is there anybody else here that uses ServiceNow?
As if we're just early days of rolling out stuff, but we've got good technical control of it at the moment.
Okay. So are you more in the diaper zone, or
In the what?
are you more like in the infant zone
We're in a far different zone for ServiceNow than we are with ITSM. We're more in the preconception phase of ITSM overall, but we have ServiceNow to help us as we go forward.
Because I like to see ourselves as in the pull-ups zone, right? We're not quite there yet, and there's a lot of stuff we need to do, but we're getting there. For us in ServiceNow, there's like two types of accounts. There's one which is a user type account, which is a self-serve account. Like any students or support staff can log in if they do have an AD account, because not everybody has an AD account. Right now in ServiceNow, we have over 127,000 users, but not everybody has an AD account. So for those, the ones which does have an AD account, they'll be able to log in and then report their own incidents. There, I lost it. Okay.
Just impersonate the Canada user.
One, this one.
It's because you named it Can Hidecast.
No, it's kind of. Okay. So if somebody wants to report an incident, right now, we haven't done any service catalog right now, which is in the section, the Can We Help You? Right there, eventually we'll have a bunch of service catalog or service process that people will be able to either create an incident or requests for software install or requests for PC to be reinstalled or whatever, and we'll have steps there for them, and then will be assigned to the proper groups. And the fun part here too is that we could make it more faculty dependent, in the sense that if somebody from science wants to go, sorry Andre, you were there. So somebody from science can go to a science section and have their own service catalog there, and then do whatever request this person wants. But the fun thing with this one, with the guesting, is that the guest account has access to all of his incidents, okay, or changes or whatever task, and can get an history of whatever which is active right on the fly. So in other words, so somebody can come here, look at this incident, and then put in whatever comment he wants. And once it updates the incident, anybody who has this incident assigned to them will get an email saying you got an update, this is from this client, and got whatever you need. Plus, sometimes you would like to be able to go back to whatever resolve or close incidents. Sometimes the client says, oh, I'm sure that I've reported that issue, and this is my 10th time or whatever. But with ServiceNow, the fun thing is that you could actually confirm, and you can go back and see whatever incidents you've already reported on, which were either resolved or closed. Okay? So don't hesitate if there's any question, right? Or don't. So the other type of account we have would be an ITIL type person. And this account is actually the person that actually does the work, right? We're not talking about managers. But you know managers. You do whatever you want, right? Managers are good for reporting.
Good for what?
For reports. But from here, for us anyways, with the helpline and the help desk, what we mostly use is the service desk section. And usually what they do is they go through the caller, and then when somebody calls in or goes to the help desk, so they're able to bring up this person and already has all his history and all his data for him. So if there's like changes and stuff, the person can do it right on the fly. Hopefully we do it. And plus, the fun part is that they also have the history of all the incidents that have been reported from this person right on the fly. So if somebody calls saying that I've called for certain problems, my incident is 1, 2, 3, 4, so you could actually go to the person and refer to that proper incident, or actually confirm if it was actually an incident.
And also, was that information entered manually for location, or is that from your gal? Or?
That's from, well, it depends. From our gal, the only thing we have right now, we have the first name, last name, and the email address, right? So the rest has been entered by hand. But eventually, hopefully, with Alex's project, which is not going to give it to me, to populate the gal properly, to have either, you know, the employee number, the student number, and at least the location, phone number would be nice. So right now, we're hoping that the help desk and helpline, which are the ones entering most of the data, is actually asking the proper questions.
That's our biggest challenge, is just getting the helpline to ask them that data. Our data, unfortunately, is in 3 or 4 different areas. So we have location, or we have a different database for phone numbers. It's terrible. So it'd be nice if we could just put that all in our gal. It seems very simple, but can't get this one going. So,
oh, it's not okay.
This is the mouse.
I can't move.
Was your mouse? Is it in the cabinet?
It doesn't really matter. I'm almost done anyways. The fun thing which I like from the service now, that when you're the ITIL staff, you also have a quick glance of what type of work you need to do during the day. The fun part is that we've created queries which call My Work. It's all incidents or changes or projects or any task will appear there right on your homepage, so you can't really miss it. And also, if you're somebody which is monitoring your group or groups and staff, we also created a query which gives you a quick glance of who has what and if they're taking care of it. And also all these strays incidents, sometimes, because for us, the helpline or the help desk creates an incident, they send it to a group and not to a person. And there's always somebody responsible for the group to monitor their incident and then assign it to the proper staff. So, but you could quickly glance of how many incidents you have in your group which were not assigned to anybody, because usually if it's not assigned to anybody, there's nobody taking care of it. So if it's been there for 2-3 days, somebody somewhere is going to scream about it. So we lost it, huh?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So is there any questions?
That's it. Where's the mouse?
And the door's locked.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Question. Have your group encountered any billing invoicing for requirements from internal clients? So,
Like using this system to bill. So we're not using the billing module.
No, because there's none.
Okay, so we don't use it because there is none. The way we do it, and we've always done it, is via incidents. So if there is a job to be charged, we assign the incident to a particular group that is within CCS, and then they just use the incident to do the billing in their own system.
Because actually from the incident, we have a state, an incident state, and we have a name called to be billed. So we put it in that state and then we assign it to the proper billing department for it. Yeah, there's no, mind you, in service desk, in the old system, there was a billing system, but this one doesn't have one.
about mobility, that it's, what is available?
Mobility?
If you use, can it be sent to like a link to notifying an on-site technician, and then you only have to click into that link and authenticate it and bring in the information you need to work and,
Yeah, well, actually, with ServiceNow, with the iPad,
All our technicians.
all technicians,
Have iPads, and our technicians have iPads, and they carry them around. And when incidents are assigned to them, they get an email, they tap on the incident number, opens it in ServiceNow. Actually, the new release of ServiceNow has a wonderful iPad interface.
it's great now.
Yeah, really, really good. We haven't pushed it prod yet, but we're testing it out. Really, really good. So you can check in incidents on the fly as you're on call.
How about interaction with the user? Can it be done the same way and like
Yep.
same thing?
So
and
from the email?
Provide you information?
From the email that they get as a confirmation, there is a way for them to update the incident just by clicking on the link within the email.
Or replying to the email.
Or just
Or reply
reply.
to the email.
You could reply to the email, it will automatically update.
And then where is where is it appended to somewhere?
It would be appended to their incident. So if the client gets a notification, your incident has been open, here's the details, and they reply to it, their reply will go into the history of that incident.
It would go into their activity, there's an activity section. It would go there, and the person which is assigned to the incident will get an email with that comment also, saying you got an update on it.
So the chronology of the information are organized?
It's all
properly,
date.
so you know that,
Yes.
who do it and when and what?
Yeah, it's all by time and date.
And even if,
Time and,
It's like a text files that people can go through and read it. So
That's right.
you know where-
and if you want to ask the client a question from the system, you can, if you add an additional comment, it emails them, and they can reply to that with their comment as well.
yeah, but you actually don't have to give them a call, actually, you could do it by email.
Yeah, you
with-
could do.
Yeah, our systems people don't like speaking to,
Send early times
Yeah,
to response.
yep.
Hi there, did you have any difficulty getting your users, so on both ends, people that are administrators in departments that have to answer as an admin, and then the users submitting or RT or requests to buy into the new system?
They were forced into it, I guess is the best answer. What happened was, we definitely got feedback when we first implemented Incident, because they got a new email that didn't make a lot of sense. It was English only, didn't give them a lot of detail about what was going on. There was no interaction. I mean, they didn't even know they could reply, I think, to the email to give us details. So that was a big problem. So when we saw what MedTech had done with their emails, then we just kind of saw all the possibilities. So now when our clients get emails, it's way better than it was before Service Desk Express and obviously the beginning of ServiceNow. So from the user perspective, I think it's been much, much better, but it would have been nice if we'd have done it from the beginning. We didn't even notify them we were changing our system, so we just did it wrong from the beginning. We made up for it later.
And how about training? What steps did you take to make sure that those that were managing the system got proper training?
So, Mark is very self-sufficient, he doesn't need you. How am I gonna go to a conference if I gotta train him? So, Mark, just a point, forget it. So what happened with training, we did get Mark some training after the fact. So again, like I said, we're behind. So after we started using it,
it's a much.
there is ServiceNow, they have an administrative training, they have a scripting training, they have
Well, they have two admin.
two
one
admin
script,
and one script.
And there's one module which is new for discovery, also, which is
Thanks for asking. That was my budget for the year. Yeah, at the back.
You mentioned it was $100 for ITIL process per month.
Yes.
Per technician. So does that include things like the discovery and reporting or?
The only thing that's not included is discovery. Discovery is a separate license. It's per server, and I think it's $3 or?
it's per mid server.
Per mid server. Okay, yeah. So we have, so the cost there isn't very significant for the discovery.
Right, so I heard if I had a technician on the help desk and they were entering incidents and service fulfillment or service.
No, not per ITIL process.
No, not per process, sorry.
Anybody who uses an ITIL process counts as you.
Okay.
Somebody doing something active.
Doing something.
On the back end of the system.
There are other ways as well to interact with the system. You can use an email system. So if you have texts that don't need to frequently get in the system, they could become like an email user. So you could assign them incidents by email, and they can update, close, add to. They could do a few things using just the email function. It's not pretty. We've tried it, and we've gotten not bad feedback, but it's not easy if you're someone that has enough incidents that come in. But it is a way to save a license. You're not an ITIL process user in that case. Was there something on the?
Yeah,
there's one here.
I'd like to get some of the questions from online, please.
Sure.
So, is there anything else you wanted to add to the cost? Because 5 people upvoted that. I think you've talked to it, but if there's anything else you want to add to the cost. We also have a question on, does this tool support service requests, and what kind of pre-knowledge did the discovery tool require to be effective? So you have to arm it with knowledge before you let it go.
So we'll start with cost. The cost essentially is the $100 per process user per month. The discovery portion, if you want to have it discover your infrastructure and so on, there is a cost per mid server. I think we're paying about $15,000 a year for that component, and it obviously keeps discovery and keeps us up to date on what's in our data center. Then the only other cost is the ITIL process. There's nothing else that we paid for. As far as discovery to start off with and knowledge, we actually hired a company to do that. And again, I wasn't involved at that point, but I believe there was a company that came in and set up the mid servers and did the discovery. That's right, right?
Which was Nashville.
Nashville, okay, so it was Derek from Nashville.
Derek, yeah.
So I'd say that was pretty important for us because we didn't have any pre-knowledge of the discovery or ServiceNow at all. So I think that's probably why he hired the company to set up discovery.
The discovery is actually clientless, but you need credentials. So for CCS, when they were doing it at the time, from what I remember, was adding credentials on servers that didn't have a central authentication process. Like all the Unix boxes have local accounts. So somebody had to go in and create a ServiceNow account that has the rights to fill out.
Yeah, the other rights.
So there's a lot of work to be done if you don't have a directory of sorts of authentication where you can create an account at one place and then not worry about it. But once it's in place,
It's true, it's not a
it just keeps going, you don't need to worry about it. It finds relations between your databases and between your servers, and it gives you like, if you turn off this server wall, this is gonna go down.
Yeah, we couldn't get into that, but once you get into the Cmdb configuration item, the detail in the configuration items is unbelievable. It does show all the relationships on the VMs with the OSs.
Where we found things that like, what is this?
Yeah, dependencies and so on. Anything else online, or we're good?
No. Support requests, service requests.
Yeah, it does do service requests. Yep, is that right?
So just, go ahead.
The Cmdb was part of your set of requirements, so I guess you have one now, and what are you using for, what benefits have you brought?
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, mainly with the Cmdb, what we use it for is for change management, right? And when we do changes, we refer to the Cmdb for what type of service which is going to be affected. That's the main thing we're doing with it. And also it gives us an asset, some sort of asset. Because like
with details.
Yeah.
Which we never had.
Like Alex said, that when we ran, the first time we ran the discovery, we actually discovered servers that we didn't even know we had. And
so I'm sure the infrastructure team also has other good reasons to have better information about their CIs and their servers and all that kind of stuff. And for change especially, it's good for us managers to be able to look and see relationships. So if Mark wants to make a change on something, we can actually ask him, have you made sure that it won't do this to that service or so on. So there's those advantages.
Just to point out for people, there was a talk yesterday by the Chief Technical Officer from ServiceNow here, so you should be able to get his slides eventually, and it's
very knowledgeable,
archived, and that gives the big picture, which you might find really helpful.
We'll be posting all the recordings from all the sessions in about 2 weeks on the campaign website, so it'll all be publicly available.
Yeah, that was yesterday afternoon.
We have time for just one more question.
Okay.
Did you import your legacy data into ServiceNow?
We didn't bring in our incidents.
no, we actually started from scratch because our old director, which is not here yet anymore, decided to start from scratch. So what we had before, we didn't do anything with it.
You know why they decided that?
No.
Cost.
I agree with more history. We don't have